States, I adhere to our broad cultural opportunities, the can-do spirit, the message of, yes, I can, the extraordinary openness and creativity, the willingness to try new approaches to get things done, the ferocity of individualism. This is where Japan comes in. Observation, listening, being silent, taking things in, considering problems as challenges, being far less reactive, and, above all, practicing acceptance. These are at the pinnacle of how you relate to yourself and others. While these behaviors all exist elsewhere, of course, as they are characteristic of our species, in Japan, they are the cornerstones of institutional and systemic development. Knowing that who I am has a lot to do with who am I with is liberating. The road to self-analysis and self-satisfaction is endless, ironically confining, and peculiarly isolating. Who needs privilege when you can have affiliation? No place has added greater balance to my life, calm, patience, respect for silence and observation, and acceptance of how community and nature matter more than one's needs. The individualism we prize in the West is supplemented by an awareness that life's greatest pleasures come from satisfying others. When others suffer, and we are empathetic, our well-being is diminished. By this I mean, when we exercise our empathy, it implies absorbing the pain of others. As a clinician, when I hear, for example, terrifying narratives of loss, shame, and isolation, my well-being is diminished. This explains, in large part, why those suffering in ways evident to others are often shunned, blamed, or feared. The more we empathize with the pain of others, the more we recognize that their condition is part of our identity. Think of it in the most pragmatic ways. If your child, spouse, parent, or dear friend is suffering, your well-being, because you feel part of them and because they're in your heart and consciousness, is diminished. If my son or daughter or wife is suffering, I can't think about being happy. Quite capable of creating my own stress, rather skilled at it in fact, and coming from a family where stress was wholly normalized, I have had a tendency to repeat the same familiar mistakes. And it's not just the personal. It never is. How could it be? When I interview people at my job 3 mornings a week at the Department of Transitional Assistance in Dudley Square, Roxbury, Massachusetts, doing disability evaluations among the homeless or impoverished or abused or recently incarcerated, and then drive back to my Tony neighborhood, which is only 5 miles away, I can see in very stark relief that achievement and safety have far less to do with personal drive than with race, gender, and economics. I found the help I needed, found what was missing, by integrating experiences in Japan with my life here. Incorporating habits from Japan, gradually or even piecemeal, has fundamentally changed how I see and experience stress, how I avoid it, and how I accept the world while simultaneously trying hard to change my position in it. Pushing the World Away is the name of one of jazz saxophonist Kenny Garrett's albums, and since he knows Japanese and has spent a lot of time in Japan, the title is an indication of how he and others like me view its culture. When I spoke to Garrett, he told me, "Japan has always been my second home." Inspired by Japanese culture, he said, "My music is pulling you in, pulling you in, pulling you in, pulling you in. The energy that we're using to push the world away is energy we can use in positive ways." That's Japanese acceptance in a nutshell. Pushing the world away in a fervent approach to creating meaningful experiences that bring us closer to one another and to the sensuality of being alive. Through integrating uncomplicated and daily activities and practices from Japan, I feel less stress that comes about from my own history, as well as in working with the disenfranchised, whose stories are deeply cutting. It's an ongoing process. Some days are better than others, and for sure I have more to work with than ever before, thanks to using observation, silence, and above all, acceptance in its many facets. I have more ways to understand.